Dr. Maya Okonkwo steps forward, her face illuminated by the pulsing red emergency lights. The assembled alien dignitaries turn to regard her with compound eyes, sensory tendrils, and perception organs humans have no names for. Maya feels their skepticism like a physical weight. "The Coalition has monitored your species for 3 centuries, says High Counselor Xerith, an entity composed of interlocking crystalline structures that shimmer with internal light. Your civilization barely survived your atomic age. You still war among yourselves over resources and ideology. And now you stand before us offering salvation." Maya glances at her team. Physicist Dr. James Chen, xenobiologist Dr. Imani Washington, engineer Hiroshi Tanaka, and Captain Alejandro Torres, each chosen not just for brilliance, but for thinking that defies conventional parameters. They represent Earth's last delegation, sent through the Coalition's quantum gateway before it collapsed last month. "We don't offer salvation," Maya responds, her voice steady. "We offer a different perspective. Every Coalition species evolved toward efficiency, toward perfect rationality. You engineered away what you considered evolutionary weaknesses: emotion, intuition, imprecision. But these aren't weaknesses against something that defies rational analysis." Admiral Cathax makes a sound like shattering glass, the equivalent of derisive laughter. "Your species still relies on sleep, requires entertainment, creates art with no functional purpose. How could such inefficiency possibly?" "You've tried 53 approaches," Maya interrupts, a breach of Coalition protocol that sends murmurs through the chamber. Each one perfectly calculated, simulated across 1 billion variables, executed with precision. Each one failed. Einstein, a human physicist, once said that insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. Perhaps it's time for something completely different. The massive holographic display shifts, showing the accelerating spread of the void. Entire sectors disappear in expanding darkness. The Coalition capital itself lies in the projected path, with less than 6 months before consumption. Grand Arbiter Genva, a gaseous entity contained within an ornate mechanical housing, drifts forward. "Our analysis indicates a 99.9987% probability of complete galactic extinction within 17 standard years. We have exhausted all conventional approaches." The beam pauses, releasing a cloud of luminescent particles that signify deep distress. What alternative could humans possibly offer? Maya activates her datapad, projecting images that startle the Coalition representatives. Cave paintings from Earth's prehistoric era, Renaissance art, modern abstract expressionism, mathematical visualizations of music, brain scans of humans in meditative states. "The void doesn't respond to your technology because it isn't a technological entity," she explains. "Our preliminary analysis suggests it exhibits patterns similar to conscious avoidance. It isn't consuming stars randomly. It's making choices. We believe it's sentient, perhaps even frightened." Outrage erupts across the chamber. Science Director Vol 7's translucent body flushes deep crimson. "Anthropomorphization. Primitive superstition. You attribute consciousness to natural phenomena because your species still clings to mysticism." Captain Torres steps forward, his military bearing commanding attention. "Call it what you want. Your rational approaches have failed. The void accelerates after each attack. What if it isn't a mindless phenomenon, but something responding defensively to perceived threats? What if your attempts to destroy it are making it more aggressive?" A heavy silence falls over the observation dome. The stellar map flickers as another system vanishes into darkness. "We have nothing left to lose," says Grand Arbiter Genva finally, particles swirling in complex patterns of resignation. "The human delegation will have access to Coalition resources. You have 3 standard months to develop your alternative approach." Maya exchanges glances with her team. 3 months to solve what the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy couldn't crack in years. But humans have always done their best work when backed against impossible odds. "We'll need a ship," says Captain Torres. Something small and maneuverable. You intend to approach the void directly, gasps a multi-limbed diplomat. Suicidal. Maya smiles for the first time since arriving at Nexus Prime. That's another thing about humans, counselor. We do the suicidal when necessary. It's gotten us this far. Maya watches as Hiroshi's fingers fly across his makeshift workstation, cobbled together from Coalition technology and Earth equipment brought through the gateway. The Coalition scientists assigned to assist them hover nearby, their expressions ranging from curiosity to unconcealed contempt. Your model is fundamentally flawed, states Senior Analyst Quixfawn, his 4 eyes blinking in asynchronous patterns expressing mathematical disapproval. You're introducing random variables without quantifiable parameters. Hiroshi doesn't look up from his work. They're not random. They're intuitive adjustments based on observed anomalies. Intuition is not a scientific methodology, the analyst retorts. Dr. James Chen laughs softly while calibrating a sensor array. Intuition is pattern recognition happening too quickly for conscious processing. Humans evolved to spot predators in tall grass. Our brains process visual information and calculate threat assessments faster than we can articulate the reasoning. The Coalition xenolinguist, a towering insectoid named Tezect, clicks her mandibles skeptically. Yet your species requires confirmation bias warnings in your own scientific protocols. Your intuition leads to error. Sometimes, Maya acknowledges, but sometimes it leads to breakthroughs when logical progression hits a wall. Our scientific history is filled with dreams, accidents, and hunches that changed everything. Across the laboratory, Dr. Imani Washington studies holographic recordings of the void's boundary fluctuations, her eyes narrowed in concentration. She suddenly straightens, calling to Hiroshi. Run your algorithm against the temporal markers of the Cygnus sector consumption. Hiroshi inputs the commands, and the massive display wall transforms into a chaotic swirl of data points that make the Coalition scientists step back in visible discomfort. To them, the display appears as meaningless noise. To the human team, patterns emerge like constellations from seemingly random stars. There, Imani points. The void paused for 3.7 seconds before consuming the Cygnus pulsar, almost like hesitation. And here, at Tau Epsilon, it completely avoided the binary system with unusual radiation signatures. Maya feels adrenaline coursing through her veins, the physical sensation of discovery that Coalition species engineered away millennia ago as an inefficient biological response. She turns to Science Director Vol 7, whose gelatinous form has been monitoring their work with growing agitation. We need to see the complete data on stellar activities in avoided systems, Maya demands. Not your processed analysis, the raw observational data. Coalition protocols require proper channeling of information requests through. Vol 7 begins. We don't have time for protocols, Captain Torres interrupts, stepping forward with military directness. Your extinction timeline accelerates daily. Either give us what we need, or admit you brought us here as a political gesture rather than a genuine attempt to save your civilization. After a tense silence, Val 7 reluctantly authorizes the data transfer. As information floods their systems, Hiroshi's algorithm reveals what the Coalition's perfect models missed, a subtle but unmistakable pattern of avoidance around stars with specific harmonic emissions. The void isn't mindless, Maya whispers, evidence confirming her theory. It's making choices, avoiding systems with these particular signatures. It's navigating the galaxy with preferences. Later that night, alone in her quarters, Maya reviews their findings while the Coalition sleeps. Unlike the aliens who eliminated inefficient sleep requirements through evolution, she embraces the human need for rest, knowing their subconscious minds continue working on problems even in dreams. A soft chime interrupts her thoughts, a message from Hiroshi appearing on her tablet. I analyzed the avoided systems against historical Coalition technology deployment. His message reads, every stellar configuration, the void avoids matches systems where dimensional harvesting technology was never installed. Maya, I think it's running from what it perceives as a threat. Maya stares at the message, heart racing. If the void is conscious and acting defensively rather than aggressively, it changes everything. The Coalition won't believe them without proof. They'll need to witness the void's response directly. She begins drafting a mission plan, knowing it will be dismissed as irrational, emotional, and dangerously unscientific. The Coalition will grant them one ship as a patronizing gesture, exactly what they need to test their theory at the edge of oblivion. The Coalition vessel, renamed Theseus by Torres, after the mythical hero who ventured into the labyrinth, shudders as another wave of distortion washes over its hull. The ship's eye announces system failures in calm, measured tones while emergency lights bathe the bridge in crimson. Gravitational sensors offline. Quantum positioning system offline. Navigation matrix corrupted. Torres grips the manual controls tighter. The sweat on his palms a biological response extinct among Coalition pilots who interface directly with their vessels. Dr. Washington, how much farther to the contact point? Imani studies the failing instruments, then looks up through the viewport at the visual distortion ahead. A boundary where stars seem to twist and fold in impossible geometries. Half a kilometer, maybe less. Hard to be precise when space itself is uncooperative. The Coalition observer, science officer Lethnar, clings to a support beam, her crystalline form vibrating with stress frequencies. This is madness. We must retreat. No data is worth this risk. All meaningful discovery happens at the edge of the unknown. Dr. Chen replies, adjusting the makeshift sensor array he and Hiroshi constructed from salvaged parts. Or as we say on Earth, no guts, no glory. Lethnar's translation matrix struggles with the idiom, but the sentiment registers as fundamentally alien to Coalition thought. Their species eliminated risk-taking behaviors as evolutionary inefficiencies millennia ago. Approaching boundary distortion peak, Hiroshi announces, monitoring energy readings. Captain, we need to hold position here while Imani initiates the communication sequence. Torres nods, his eyes never leaving the viewport as he makes continuous micro-adjustments to maintain their position against forces no navigation computer could calculate. His entire focus narrows to this task, a state of flow that Coalition enhancement had replaced with algorithmic efficiency. Imani activates the communication array, a bizarre hybrid of Coalition quantum technology and analog Earth systems that the alien engineers had dismissed as technological regression. Patterns of light, sound, and mathematical progressions emanate from the ship, not the complex quantum language the Coalition had attempted, but simpler, more fundamental patterns based on universal constants. I'm starting with binary mathematical sequences, Imani explains to Lethnar, then progressing to prime numbers, geometric ratios, and finally, music. Music. Lethnar's crystalline structure vibrates in confusion. Sound waves are an inefficient communication method in space, but rhythm and pattern are fundamental to the universe, Maya counters. From the spinning of galaxies to the orbital resonance of binary stars, we're not trying to speak its language. We're trying to establish that we recognize patterns, that we understand. Minutes pass with no response. The ship groans under increasing strain as reality fluctuates around them. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the darkness ahead pulses in rhythm with Imani's transmitted patterns. It's responding, she whispers, hands trembling with excitement. Matching our sequences. Hiroshi adjusts the sensors. The boundary is stabilizing in our immediate vicinity. Energy patterns suggest localized space-time normalization. It's making an effort to communicate, Maya realizes, creating conditions where our technology can function. The darkness before them shifts, coalescing into swirling patterns that echo the mathematical sequences they transmitted. When Imani sends back cello suite no. 1, the darkness responds with visual harmonics that perfectly match the music's mathematical structure. Torres stares in awe. It understands beauty. Maya nods slowly. More than understands. It's creating it. The ship's systems suddenly reactivate as a bubble of stable spacetime forms around them. On the main display, complex patterns emerge, not in coalition quantum language but in simple visual representations that the human mind can process. It's showing us something, Chen says, analyzing the patterns. Star formations, energy signatures. Lethnar's crystal structure vibrates in shock. Those are coalition dimensional harvesting installations, thousands of them across the galaxy. The next image causes everyone on the bridge to fall silent, a visualization of energy webs connecting the installations, creating a network that tears at the fundamental fabric of reality itself. The message becomes unmistakable. The void isn't consuming stars randomly. It's eliminating what it perceives as an infection spreading through the cosmos. The Coalition's most advanced technology, Maya murmurs, is killing the universe itself, and the void is trying to save it. The Grand Council chamber erupts into chaos following Maya's presentation. Coalition representatives shout over one another in a cacophony of translated arguments, while Admiral Kethax pounds his crystalline appendage for order. This is absurd speculation, the science director declares, her gelatinous form flushing deep crimson with agitation. You've anthropomorphized a natural phenomenon based on pattern recognition errors. The void cannot be frightened of our technology. We have the data, Maya insists, gesturing to the holographic displays where Torres and Hiroshi cycle through their findings. The correlation between dimensional harvesting installations and the void's expansion pattern is statistically significant to 7 decimal places. High Counselor Xereth rises to full height, towering over the human delegation. Even if your hypothesis were correct, which we do not concede, what would you have us do? Dimensional harvesting provides energy for trillions of citizens across the Coalition. Without it, entire civilizations would collapse. Better than extinction, Torres counters bluntly. The Coalition military commander, General Vrax, moves forward, his exoskeleton whirring with barely contained aggression. Our final solution is prepared. A simultaneous activation of all dimensional harvesters at maximum capacity will create a shockwave powerful enough to disrupt the void's cohesion. Our model shows 68% probability of success. Maya exchanges alarmed glances with her team. You're planning to do more of exactly what's provoking it. Your own data shows the void accelerates after each harvester activation. With sufficient force, General Vrax begins. You'll trigger a defensive response that will consume half the remaining galaxy in days instead of years. Imani interrupts. The void showed us this explicitly. The Coalition representatives dismiss her words with gestures of contempt. Maya realizes with growing horror that they've already made their decision. The human delegation was merely a political concession to appearance of exploring all options. Later, sequestered in their assigned quarters, the human team gathers around a small table where Hiroshi has disassembled their communication devices to prevent monitoring. They're going to kill everyone, Chen says quietly. They're so convinced of their technological superiority that they can't conceive of being wrong. Reminds me of human history, Torres remarks grimly. Civilizations too invested in their own paradigms to adapt before collapse. Maya paces the room, mind racing. We need to appeal directly to the Coalition citizens. Their leadership is proceeding without informed consent. The all-broadcast network is protected by quantum encryption, Hiroshi points out. Breaking in would be considered an act of terrorism. Do we have a choice? Imani asks. Billions of lives against protocol. Hiroshi's eyes reflect the same calculation they all make, a moral equation where inaction guarantees extinction. I can create a bypass using components from our communication array. It will only give us a few minutes before they shut it down. That's all we need, Maya decides. The Coalition species evolved toward perfect consensus. They'd forgotten how to handle dissent. One crack in their unified narrative might be enough. 3 hours later, as Coalition citizens across thousands of worlds watch their entertainment broadcasts, the signal interrupts with images from inside the void. the beauty of its responsive patterns, the data showing correlation between harvesting technology and its advancement, and finally, the visualization it created showing the dimensional harvesters tearing reality itself. Maya's voice speaks over the images. The coalition leadership is preparing a final assault using the very technology that provoked this crisis. They have not informed you that the void appears to be a conscious entity responding defensively to what it perceives as an existential threat. You deserve to know the truth before they condemn us all. The broadcast cuts off abruptly as security forces break into their quarters. Maya and her team offer no resistance as they're placed in restraints. Through the window, they can see citizens gathering in the streets below. Something unprecedented in coalition society. Spontaneous, unstructured assembly. What happens now? Torres asks quietly as they're led away. Maya watches the growing crowd below. Now we find out if other species still remember how to question authority. If they don't, the galaxy has already lost what made civilization worth saving. The abandoned mining facility on asteroid LV-426 hums with activity as disparate species work together in ways the coalition never imagined possible. Maya watches from a catwalk as Hiroshi directs a team of defectors, crystalline mathematicians, gaseous perception specialists, and silicon-based engineers, all collaborating on the communication device. Fascinating, murmurs Dr. Klovex, a former coalition quantum physicist whose 8 limbs manipulate delicate components with perfect precision. Your approach lacks optimal efficiency, yet achieves functional outcomes through improvisation. Humans call it working with what you've got. Hiroshi replies with a tired smile. 3 weeks of non-stop work has left dark circles under his eyes. Yet another biological inefficiency the coalition species finds strangely compelling. Maya descends to join Imani, who coordinates with a group of Tellurian refugees, beings composed of pure electromagnetic energy who fled their homeworld hours before it was consumed by the void. Their native ability to manipulate energy fields makes them invaluable to the resistance. How's the coalition's final solution progressing? Maya asks quietly. Accelerated timeline. Imani responds, showing Maya updated intelligence gathered through their growing network of sympathizers. Mass evacuation of central worlds began yesterday. They're concentrating all resources on the dimensional cascade weapon. Maya studies the data with growing alarm. They'd doubled the power output. This won't just provoke the void. It might tear a permanent hole in reality. Across the hangar bay, Captain Torres oversees modifications to 3 coalition scout ships, sleek vessels retrofitted with the hybrid technology developed in their hidden base. The former coalition pilot assisting him, a being named Zex-9 with reflective skin that shifts colors with his emotional state, watches Torres make adjustments to the navigational system. You do this, manually? Zex-9 asks, skin flickering between azure confusion and amber curiosity. Torres nods, hands never stopping their work. Humans need to feel the machine, not just interface with it. Sometimes the right decision isn't logical, it's intuitive. This concept of intuition, it is like your emotions. More like emotions and logic working together faster than conscious thought, Torres explains. When I fly, I don't calculate trajectories, I feel them. Zex-9's skin shifts to a deep indigo of revelation. Perhaps this is why my people removed emotion from our evolutionary path too hastily. We gained efficiency but lost complementary processing. A commotion near the communication hub draws everyone's attention. Sana Patel, the quantum physicist from Mumbai, jumps up from her workstation, face alight with excitement. We've got it. The frequency modulation works. We can establish communication without triggering the void's defensive responses. The assembled beings gather around as Sana demonstrates the breakthrough. Unlike coalition technology that forces reality to conform to its parameters, the human approach adapts to the natural quantum fluctuations at the void's boundary. The communication field will remain stable, even as reality distorts around it, Sana explains. We can maintain contact without causing harm. A collective sense of hope ripples through the gathering, a sentiment many coalition defectors haven't experienced in generations. Their species engineered away hope as a dangerous inefficiency that leads to irrational risk-taking, replacing it with probability calculations. Dr. Klovex approaches Maya, his crystalline form vibrating with what humans might recognize as nervousness. Dr. Okonkwo, our simulations confirm your device will function as intended, but there remains one insurmountable obstacle. The neural interface must be organic, capable of intuitive adaptation to shifting quantum states. Even if we could approach the void safely, none of our species can maintain consciousness within such extreme distortions. The room falls silent as understanding dawns. Maya looks at Torres, seeing in his eyes that he's already calculated this cost. A human could do it, Torres says quietly. Our consciousness evolved to create meaning from chaos, to process contradictory information simultaneously. It would require physical entry into the void's boundary. Dr. Klovex continues. No organic being has survived such exposure. The consciousness might persist temporarily, but cellular cohesion would fail within minutes. A one-way trip, Torres nods. Worth it to save trillions. Maya feels the weight of inevitability settle over them. Coalition species evolved toward perfect preservation of self. The concept of self-sacrifice for abstract ideals had been engineered out of their genetics. But humans still carried this capacity, this willingness to value something beyond individual survival. We need to finalize the interface design, Maya says, her voice steady despite the knowledge of what comes next. And we need to move quickly. According to our intelligence, we have less than 6 days before the Coalition deploys their weapon. Inside the modified shuttle, Torres completes the final pre-launch checklist with methodical precision, his movements betraying none of the turbulence within. The neural interface device, a delicate crown of crystalline filaments and organic circuitry, waits in its sealed container beside him. Maya's voice comes through the comm system, slightly distorted by the growing gravitational anomaly surrounding the asteroid base. The Coalition fleet is mobilizing. Our intelligence suggests less than 8 hours until they initiate the dimensional cascade. Plenty of time, Torres replies with forced lightness. I only need about 20 minutes to save the universe. A soft chime indicates an approaching visitor. The airlock cycles open, and Dr. Imani Washington enters, carrying a small metal case. Last-minute adjustments to the interface, she explains, her practiced steadiness faltering as she meets his gaze. And to say goodbye properly. Torres watches her work, cataloging the details of her movements, the concentration in her eyes, human moments to carry with him where he's going. The oddest thing, he says conversationally, is that I'm not afraid. Not of dying, anyway. It's the unknown that comes after that's intriguing. Imani's hands pause momentarily. Coalition species would find that sentiment utterly irrational. Yet another human inefficiency, Torres smiles, finding comfort in things we can't possibly understand. She secures the modified components and closes the case. The interface will maintain quantum coherence for approximately 14 minutes once fully engaged. That should be enough time to establish a stable connection with the void's consciousness. The unspoken remainder of that sentence hangs between them, after which his physical body will lose molecular cohesion. Torres, she says softly, professional detachment dissolving. What you're doing is necessary, he completes her thought, and uniquely human. Our gift to the stars. The shuttle launches 20 minutes later, accelerating toward the expanding darkness that has now consumed the outer reaches of the Coalition's territory. From the command center, Maya and the others watch Torres' life signs on the monitor. Each vitals display a countdown they cannot stop. Approaching boundary distortion, Torres reports, his voice remarkably calm. Navigation systems failing. Switching to manual control. The assembled beings watch in silent awe as he pilots the craft through twisting, folding space using nothing but visual reference and instinct, a feat their automated systems deemed statistically impossible. Boundary crossing in 30 seconds, he announces, initiating neural interface preliminary sequence. Maya steps closer to the monitor. Captain Alejandro, you don't have to do this. We can find another way. His gentle laugh carries across millions of kilometers. Always the optimist, Maya. But we both know there isn't time. A pause then. It's okay. Humans spend our lives searching for meaning. How many get to find it so completely? The shuttle passes through the boundary, telemetry instantly dissolving into chaotic patterns as reality itself unravels around the craft. Torres' vital signs spike, then stabilize in impossible configurations as the neural interface engages. It's extraordinary. His voice comes through, strained but filled with wonder. I see everything, all possibilities, all iterations, the universe as it was and could be. The quantum feed fragments, Torres' consciousness expanding beyond the interface's capacity to translate. For 17 excruciating seconds, only static fills the command center. Then, impossibly, his voice returns, altered, harmonizing with something vast and alien. We understand each other now, the voice that is both Torres and not Torres states. The void sees through my eyes. I see through its awareness. Your dimensional technology doesn't just harvest energy, it unravels the quantum substrate of reality itself. The multiverse is collapsing. Maya leans toward the communication array. Can it be stopped? Can the void withdraw? The damage can be contained, but not reversed. The harvesting technology must be disabled. All of it. The void will spare what remains. Dr. Klovex's crystalline form vibrates with alarm. The coalition will never agree. Their entire civilization depends on dimensional energy. The hybrid voice of Torres, and the void responds with something like compassion. Then, they must evolve again. Adapt or perish. Isn't that the fundamental law of life? Humans understand this instinctively. My consciousness is transforming, becoming part of the void's awareness. I can maintain this bridge temporarily, but you must convince them. On the monitor, Torres' physical form begins to dissolve, individual atoms scattering into the quantum fabric of the void itself. Yet his consciousness remains, expanding beyond the limitations of his human brain into something both less and more than human. Hurry, he urges, his voice increasingly indistinguishable from the cosmic entity that now embraces him. I can give you time, but not much. Make it count. The Coalition's Central Command Complex stands as a monument to perfect symmetry and efficiency, a structure devoid of ornament or imperfection. As Maya approaches the Grand Council chamber, flanked by Dr. Chen and a small contingent of Coalition defectors, she notes the increasing signs of disorder. Emergency lighting flickers inconsistently, and repair drones buzz frantically between failing systems. Their perfect systems are breaking down under unprecedented stress, Dr. Chen murmurs. They never designed for adaptation, only optimization within known parameters. Coalition guards block their path, but Zex-9 steps forward, his skin shifting to authoritative crimson. By Emergency Protocol 5-73 Delta, we demand audience with the Grand Council. Multiple Class 1 habitats are reporting failure of gravitational stabilizers. Inside the chamber, chaos reigns, a state unthinkable in coalition governance until now. Representatives argue openly, their carefully engineered consensus shattered by fear. Admiral Kithax notices Maya's entrance and points accusingly. The human insurgents, arrest them immediately. Grand Arbiter Genva's mechanical housing drifts between them, releasing calming pheromones that no longer have effect on the panicked assembly. The dimensional cascade initiates in 23 minutes. This is hardly the time for. It's exactly the time. Maya interrupts, activating the small device in her palm. The three-dimensional projection appears above the council table, not a sophisticated hologram, but a simple display showing the visualized consciousness of Captain Torres merged with the void's awareness. What primitive demonstration is this? Demands Science Director Vol 7, though her gelatinous form trembles at the patterns flickering within the display. Live transmission from inside the void. Maya answers. Captain Torres no longer exists in physical form, but his consciousness persists, a bridge between human understanding and the void's awareness. Disbelief ripples through the chamber until their own instruments confirm the impossible. The signal originates from deep within the void itself, which has temporarily ceased its expansion. Coalition species engineered away what you considered evolutionary weaknesses. Maya continues, pacing the chamber. You removed emotion, intuition, and the capacity for cognitive dissonance, the ability to hold contradictory ideas simultaneously. You optimized for perfect efficiency within known parameters, never considering that the universe itself thrives on chaos and contradiction. The Grand Council watches, transfixed, as the visualization pulses with patterns too organic for their algorithms to classify yet undeniably structured. Your dimensional harvesting technology doesn't just extract energy, Maya explains. It unravels the quantum substrate of reality itself. The entity you call the void is attempting to contain the damage. A cosmic immune response to technology it perceives as a multiversal cancer. Admiral Cathax rises to his full height. Even if this were true, which our science cannot confirm, you ask us to abandon the foundation of our civilization. Billions would die without dimensional energy. Billions will die if you proceed with the cascade. Maya counters. The void has shown restraint thus far, consuming only systems with active harvesting technology. It's attempting to excise the infection while preserving healthy tissue. On cue, the Coalition's emergency systems blare warnings as reports flood in. The void has suddenly accelerated, consuming 3 systems simultaneously. The visualization from Torres' consciousness flickers with urgent patterns. It senses your weapon preparing to fire, Maya translates. It's responding preemptively. The Council erupts in panic as monitoring systems cascade into failure, their perfect algorithms unable to process mounting anomalies. Yet Maya and her team move effectively through the growing disorder, establishing communication lines and coordinating emergency responses. Science Director Vol 7 watches this human adaptability with dawning comprehension. Your species thrives in chaos. You improvise. We evolved that way, Dr. Chen explains gently. We never engineered it out of ourselves. The Grand Arbiter moves to the central command interface, appendages hovering over the dimensional cascade activation. You ask us to trust the very force consuming our worlds. No, Maya replies. I'm asking you to trust in adaptation, the fundamental force that drives all life. Your species mastered the universe through perfect technology. Now you must learn what humans never forgot, how to change when perfection fails. The projection from Torres' consciousness intensifies, conveying a final message that resonates through the chamber without words. Choose now. Evolution or extinction. 5 years later, Maya stands atop the interface spire on Earth, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors no Coalition species had ever bothered to name. The structure beneath her feet, a harmonious blend of human aesthetics and Coalition functionality, houses the permanent communication network with the void, a system that has transformed galactic civilization. Dr. Imani Washington approaches, her lab coat fluttering in the evening breeze. The new volunteer group is ready. 17 humans, and, surprisingly, 3 Tellurians who've been practicing human meditation techniques. Maya nods, watching shuttles from across the reformed Galactic Alliance glide toward the nearby landing platforms. How are the Tellurians adapting to the interface? Their electromagnetic nature should make the transition easier. They're doing remarkably well, Imani confirms, though they describe the experience differently than human volunteers. Where humans report a sense of expanded consciousness, the Tellurians describe it as harmonic resonance with the universal frequency. Same experience, different conceptual frameworks. Below them, in the spire's main atrium, young coalition scientists mingle with human teachers in a scene that would have been unthinkable 6 years ago. Following the coalition's last-minute decision to deactivate the dimensional cascade and begin dismantling harvesting technology, the Void had gradually withdrawn from consumed systems, leaving behind transformed environments, not restored to their technological perfection, but reborn in more balanced, sustainable configurations. Ambassador Xerith's delegation arrives tomorrow. Maya notes, checking her tablet. The crystal forms are still struggling with their emotional regression therapies. Amani laughs softly. Can you blame them? They spend millennia engineering emotions out of their species, and now they're deliberately reintroducing them. It's like watching toddlers learn to walk. Brilliant, ancient toddlers. The most profound transformation has been in coalition society itself. Species that once valued perfect order now study Earth's history, art, and philosophy, seeking to reclaim the evolutionary versatility their ancestors engineered away. Some undergo genetic modifications to restore capacities their species abandoned. Others develop technological interfaces to simulate emotions and intuition they can no longer experience naturally. Dr. Kolvex's team made a breakthrough with the Dimensional Stabilization Project, Maya says. They've managed to heal 3 more systems by applying Captain Torres' consciousness patterns to the damaged quantum substrate. The mention of Torres brings a moment of shared silence. His sacrifice marked the beginning of a new era, his consciousness becoming an integral part of the Void's awareness, neither fully human nor cosmic entity, but a bridge between understandings. A gentle chime from Maya's tablet interrupts their reflection. Time for my communication session, she says, glancing at the notification. Deep within the spire, Maya enters the special chamber where volunteers temporarily connect their consciousness with the Void. Unlike the crude interface that consumed Torres physically, this refined version allows for brief, safe connections, humans serving as temporary neural interfaces with the cosmic entity. Maya settles into the reclined chair as technicians attach delicate sensors to her temples. The interface activates, and her consciousness expands beyond physical limitations, joining with the vast awareness that was once their enemy. Within this shared mental space, she perceives the entity that contains what remains of Alejandro Torres. The dimensional healing progresses well. Maya thinks toward the presence. The Reformed Alliance has decommissioned 87% of harvesting technology. The response comes not in words but in shared understanding, a vision of countless worlds flourishing in vibrant, messy, imperfect glory. Through Torres' human perspective, the Void has developed something like appreciation for the chaotic beauty of life itself. Was it worth the sacrifice? Maya asks during these connections, a question she cannot help but repeat. Today, the answer manifests as a sweep of consciousness across restored systems where new civilizations emerge, not with the perfect technological efficiency a coalition once prized, but with sustainable diversity and adaptability. Species once locked in rigid evolutionary paths now explore new potential, inspired by humanity's example of embracing imperfection. As the session ends, and Maya's consciousness returns to her body, she carries with her the profound truth that has reshaped the cosmos. In a universe of infinite possibility and constant change, the ability to imagine, adapt, and hope against rational calculation isn't primitive at all. It's the most advanced evolutionary strategy in existence, and humanity's greatest gift to the stars.